What's living on your saxophone mouthpiece? How often should you clean your saxophone? Are you suffering from saxophone lung? Did you know that you could develop allergic pulmonary disease known as saxophone lung if you don't clean your horn regularly? Answers to these questions coming up. Hi you cool cats, Kadrian the Sax Habit Coach here. On this channel I help you develop the practice habits and routines to develop your saxophone skills as a beginner. If you are new here, consider subscribing. Now, why wouldn't you clean your horn when you are putting that thing in your mouth like every day? Your mouth and nasal cavity are the openings to your respiratory system through which many human-to-human viruses are transmitted. Now, do you find that you constantly and easily get a cold, the flu, you cough or wheeze a lot? And if these things are happening to you very often, then you need to check your saxophone, your mouthpiece, and your reeds. You may have developed complications caused by poor saxophone hygiene practices. Now, there was a time when I didn't pay much attention to cleaning my horn. I just played, put it back in the case, or leave it on the stand. Then a day, a week, or even a month later, that's when my practice wasn't consistent. I'd take up the horn and blow without even washing the reed or the mouthpiece. The result? I'd get sick right after that, and I couldn't figure it out until I started taking better care of my horn. Eventually, I also ran into information that shocked me and informed me that it was nasty to not clean my saxophone on a regular basis. Now, I'm going to take you to a research that I found that is very terrifying while at the same time very informative. So this article is from the Huffington Post. The title, Saxophone Lung developed by man who didn't clean his clarinet for more than 30 years. Here's a public service announcement for anyone who plays a woodwind such as a clarinet or saxophone. Clean your instrument. A case study presented at the annual meeting of the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology shows that it's possible to develop allergic pulmonary disease known as saxophone lung in response to the mold that collects over time in woodwind instruments. Saxophone lung is really a type of hypersensitivity pneumonitis, which is the inflammation of the lung tissue according to the Mayo Clinic. The case study detailed a man who was coughing and wheezing when he sought medical treatment at the Emory University Adult Asthma, Allergy, and Immunology Clinic. He was initially diagnosed with allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis or ABPA. Researchers conducted chest imaging and tests for fungus and found evidence of infection with different fungi. They also found that his saxophone reed was positive for the fungus Exophiala. The man was given oral steroids, but his condition did not get better until he sterilized his instrument. This patient with saxophone lung was initially diagnosed with ABPA until history revealed he was a Dixie band player who had not cleaned his clarinet in over 30 years, the researchers wrote in the study. While both ABPA and saxophone lung present with persistent cough and wheeze due to localized mold allergy and are treated with systemic steroids, it is imperative for allergists to distinguish these clinical entities. Indeed, other case studies have also illustrated what can happen if you don't regularly clean your instrument. The New York Times reported on two of them. In one, a trombone player's stubborn 15-year cough only went away when he used rubbing alcohol to clean his instrument. In another, a saxophonist's shortness of breath cleared up after he started cleaning his mouthpiece. In addition, a general dentistry study published in 2011 showed a wide variety of bacteria, yeast, and mold present in 13 previously played high school band instruments. Many children participate in their school's band ensemble, and often the instruments they play are on loan. The researcher of that study, R. Thomas Glass, DDS PhD, said in a statement, "Most of these instruments have been played by other students, and without the proper sanitation, bacteria and fungi can thrive for weeks and even months after the last use." An international journal of environmental health research showed similar results, finding bacteria, yeast, and mold in 20 different woodwind instruments, particularly in the reeds and mouthpieces. And that is from the New York Times. I have left a link in the description below so that you can go find this article, read for yourself, and share it with somebody that you think it may be of help to. I also read elsewhere that even if you are taking antibiotics, it won't help if you don't clean your horn and get rid of the bacteria that's built up there. How often should you clean your saxophone? Well, after practicing on the horn for however long, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour. And what should you do? You swap your mouthpiece, the neck of the horn, and you wipe the reed. And you also drain the saxophone to get rid of the saliva inside your horn. So you use a pull-through cloth. I use this pull-through cloth, and it has two metals at the end, and you pull that through your mouthpiece and also through the saxophone. And you want to wash this thing like once per week with warm water, bleach, and soap. Then you wipe the saxophone with a terry cloth. And the reason you want to wipe the saxophone is that you get rid of the extra fluids from your hands, because if left long enough on your horn, the lacquer on the horn will begin to decay. Then you put away your horn and the necessary accessories. So after you have practiced, let's say the day before, the next day, what you can do before you practice, or what I do, is I take my saxophone neck, the mouthpiece, and reed, and wash them with soap and warm water inside of my bathroom. Alternatively, you could dilute some vinegar in a 70-30 ratio. That's 70% water, 30% vinegar, and you use that to wash the mouthpiece and reed, as well as using a toothbrush to clean out any gunk that's built up inside of your mouthpiece, and that will get rid of any bacteria that's been lodging there. So how often should you clean your saxophone? As often as you use it, which I suppose that you do daily, since you are consistently practicing on a daily basis. Now, if you don't do that, chances are you could end up with saxophone lungs, and no amount of antibiotics will help you until you get rid of the root cause. Do remember to push play until something happens. Kadrian, the Sax Habit Coach, tuning out. Bye-bye.